Hello, this is Daniel, and today I am going to show you how to program and operate your FC-1T-2VAC-3F control. This is a classic Phason control that used to be known as the SEC-HD. This is going to be a pretty long video. I am going to go through all the configuration and programming of the control in this one video. I will have inserted chapters in the description down below though, so please skip around to whatever particular section you need help with. Having said that, let's take a quick look at the physical layout of the control. So, looking at the control here, I will just open it up. So you can see we've got our terminals here for power. I've got those plugged in. And then we've got our temperature probe. We've got our alarm terminals here. And then we've got our variable stages on the right here, stage 1 and stage 2. And then we have our 3 relay stages, stage 3, 4, and 5 there. And then of course we've got our fuses for our variable stages as well as our 3 fuses for our relay stages. And of course on the lid here we do have our connector here if you are using a saver to save your settings. And of course, voltage selector switch, make sure you got that set to the proper voltage. All right, so then let's start with how to cycle through our main menu operation and the different submenus. So currently I've got no probe attached, so we've got a bad probe alarm, so I will just clear that, and then I can start cycling through our main menu with this P button. So press it once. We can see A program. Again, we go to the B program. So we have all the way up C, D, E, F, all the way up to G program. So we've got all those different programs that you can program in, and you can set them with different configuration and settings. So if you want a program for different seasons, if you want a program for when there are no animals in your room, for when you're washing out, you can set those up and then very quickly just change which of the programs is your operating program. Once we cycle through those, we go to configuration, so that will bring us through the configuration menu. We've got the alarm menu, the test menu, and then finally ventilation if we want to turn that on or off. So I'm going to cycle through, and let's start first of all with the configuration menu. So I'm going to walk through this. We'll hit the check mark to go into that menu, and now we can see number 17. So you can see on the front of the control here, we have the numbers beside it, so it tells you actually exactly what each thing is programming. So you don't even really need the user manual. Basically, you have all the information on the display itself or on the label itself. So number 17, we'll hit the check mark to go in. This is our temperature units. We can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Select to save it. Number 18, operating frequency. We can, okay, sorry, just wanted to double check that the camera was okay there. We can select 60 Hertz or 50 Hertz, save it. Number 19 is our stage 1 configuration. So here, it is cooling and motor curve number 1. So we can cycle through, we can turn it off, or cycle through our 4 different motor curves. So I will just save it, Curve number 1, that's the one that most often works, and because this is just a demo, doesn't really matter what I save. Number 20 is going to be our stage 2 configuration. So that is our second variable stage, has the exact same options. So we'll save that. Number 21, stage 3 configuration. So this guy, we can say it's a cooling, or it's a heating, or it's off, or it is on. Cooling, let's just save it as cooling. So we'll say it's a fan. Number 22, same options. We will, maybe we will set that as our heater. 23 is our stage 5 configuration. So if we go in here, we can see we can configure it as heat, as proportional cooling. So that'll give us a few extra options here. Our P-band operation or settings if we're wanting it that way, and I'll explain that more when we get into the settings. But we can set it for proportional cooling, proportional heating, off, on, and then of course just normal cool or heat. Let's even just throw that in for proportional heat, and then I'm actually just going to adjust number 22 back to cooling, so we'll have everything cooling, but number 5 will be the proportional heat. So then 24, hysteresis. So this is the amount of overshoot that your controls will have. So basically right now we're at 0.5 degree. So that means if our fan set point is set at 70 degrees, the fan is going to stay or turn on when we get over that 70 degrees, and then it's going to stay on until we hit 69.5 degrees. So it'll overshoot by 0.5 degree. It also affects heaters in the same way, but obviously inverted. So if your heater set point is set to 65 degrees, then your heater is going to stay on until 65.5 degrees with this 0.5 degree hysteresis. So that we will save. Option number 25, not available. So we'll see, no, nothing available there. 26, not available. We can go up to 27. We can adjust it to yes if we want to restore factory defaults. We don't want to, so I will just go back. No, select. 28, not available. 29 is our version. We're version 1.09. So that is the configuration menu. Then let's take a look at the program menu. So I will again cycle through, and I'm just going to do everything through in a program. You can, like I say, program things up in B or C or one of the other programs. Hit the check mark, and here A0. So we can see 0 is selecting what our operating program is. So if I hit the check mark again, I can see program A is the one that is currently selected as the program that is operating and controlling this device, the equipment that would be connected to it. So that's what I want, but this is where you would select, hey, I actually want program B, and that's where you quickly select and change which of your programs is active. But here, program A is our operating program. Let's go up. So number 1, group set point. This is something that you want to change or set right away, because when you adjust the group set point, it is going to adjust all of your other set points proportionally. So if I would raise this up by 5 degrees, then all of these other set points are going to move up by 5 degrees. So it's a quick shortcut way of changing everything. And also because of that, you want to set it first. And I'm just going to keep it at the temperature that it's at. We'll hit the check mark to save. Number 2, stage 1 idle speed. So right now our first variable fan is idling at 20%, so that is good. Number 3, stage 1 idle range. That is set at 80 degrees. So as of right now, below 80 degrees, our fan is off. And then once it hits 80 degrees, it's going to start running at that 20% idle. If we go up to number 4, we can see number 4 is our stage 1 set point. So at 80 degrees, we start idling at 20%. Once we reach 85 degrees, we're going to start ramping up, speeding up that fan. And option number 5 is our differential. So at 85 degrees, we start ramping up. That's our set point. And then at 86.5 degrees, we reach 100. Oh, sorry. Knocked the camera there. At 86.5 degrees, we reach 100% speed. So 85, we're going 20. And then over the next 1.5 degrees, we ramp up to 100% speed on that stage 1 fan. Option number 6 is our stage 2 idle speed. So now we're going to do the same thing. That one is at 20%. Option number 7 is going to be our idle range. So at 87 degrees, that one is going to kick on and start idling. Option number 8 is our set point. So at 87 degrees, it's going to start ramping up. And option number 9, we can see that is our stage 2 differential. So at 88.5 degrees, again, it's 1.5 degrees over which it ramps from 20% all the way up to hitting 100% on our stage 2 fan at 88.5 degrees. Number 10, this is our stage 3 set point. So at 89 degrees, our stage 3, our fixed fan, because remember we configured it as cooling, so at 89 degrees, that fan is going to kick on. Option 11 is going to be our stage 4 set point. So at 91 degrees, that is going to come on. Again, probably a fan or some other piece of cooling as we configured it for cooling. So 91 degrees, that guy turns on. Option number 12 is our stage 5 set point. So that guy we've got set at 84 degrees. So that is below, right? And that's because we've set this up as proportional heating. So 84 degrees is when it's going to start coming on. And then option number 13 is our P-band temp. And let me explain how this P-band works. So the P-band temp is the number of degrees over which we're going to have proportional heating. So we had, what was it? I actually forget. 12 degrees. Okay, so 84 degrees is our set point. And then our P-band is 2 degrees. So between 84, and because we're doing heating, it's between 84 and 82 degrees, we are going to have our proportional heating, which means that the next setting, our P-band interval, will take effect. Basically, we're not just going to turn on that heater and keep it on. It's going to be cycling on and off between that 84 and 82 degree when the temperature is at that point. So if we go up and take a look, our interval is 10. So how this works is that it is going to adjust and slowly increase how long our heater is on for as the temperature continues to drop. So at 84 degrees, we are going to have half a minute of on time, and then we're going to have 9.5 minutes off. And then at 83.5 degrees, so as we drop half a degree, we're going to have 2.5 minutes on and then 7.5 minutes off. Then at 83 degrees, so that is exactly halfway, right? So we're 84 degrees is our set point. We have a 2-degree P band, so that's down to 82. So at 82 degrees, we're gonna be always on. So halfway in between are the start of our heater coming on and where it's on at 100%. Halfway in between, we would expect it to be on 50% of the time. So that means because our interval is 10 minutes, it is going to be on for 5 minutes, off for 5 minutes at the halfway point. Then when we drop down to 82.5 degrees, that's the 3/4 point. So that's going to be on for 3/4 of the time, off for a quarter. So that's looking like 7.5 minutes on, 2.5 minutes off. And then once we get down to 82 degrees, like I say, we're just going to be 10 minutes on, 0 minutes off, always on. The heater is just running. So this proportional heating allows you to use a fixed heater that just doesn't have a variable output. It's either on or off, but it allows you to kind of cycle it on and off as your temperature slowly drops, just to kind of bring up the heat slowly rather than just, turning on your heater full blast and really getting a yo-yoing effect of getting too much heat and then cold and then too much heat. It allows you to gradually, as the temperature drops, ramp up your heating and allow you to bring it back to your desired temperature in a more smooth manner. So that is 14. That was our P-band interval. So that's how that proportional heating works. Proportional cooling, if you would configure it for cooling, is going to work exactly the same. Just obviously our set points are going to be inverted. So whatever our set point is, our P-band temperature, that you're going to add to that set point rather than subtract it, because our cooling works as we get hotter, not as we get colder. So I hope that makes sense. If you're still confused about how the proportional heating or cooling works, how those settings work, how that calculation is made, throw a comment down below and I will try to explain it more clearly there. The next option is our high temp alarm. So right now we got it. If our temperature goes above 95 degrees, we're going to get a high temperature alarm. 16. That is our low temperature alarm. So if we go 80 degrees or lower, we'll get that low temperature alarm. Pretty simple stuff. And of course, it once you get to the end of the list, it'll pop right back to the start. Now, let's take a look at the alarm menu. So I will go back and then I will start cycling through my programs, configuration, alarm menu. So if we go in here, we can see number 30, high alarm enable. So go in there. Yes, right now the high alarm is enabled. 31 is going to be our low alarm enable. I can go in. Yes, it is enabled. And of course, we could always switch it to no and save that if we don't want it to be enabled. Number 32 is going to be our probe damaged enable. And yes, that is enabled. We started off the video with that being active because we don't have a probe currently connected. And then finally, number 33, the power fail. So if there is a power event, then you might want to know about it. So this will give you an alarm that'll show on the screen when you come back. If your power's back, it'll let you know that there was a power failure. So that is currently enabled as well. So that is the alarm menu. Finally, let's take a look at the test menu. So we'll go back, hit RP again, and that'll bring us to the test menu. So here, when we go in, we've got the first one is our stage override menu. So when we go in here, we can see stage 1. This is a 9, but also a G. So stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, 5, and alarm. So those are all pieces of equipment that we can manually override. This is great when you're first setting it up. If you want to double check if your motor curve works well with your variable fan, you want to make sure that it's going to ramp smoothly. So we can go into stage 1 and we can adjust it. You can see our light came on because this stage is now on and active. And if we want to go all the way up, we can ramp all the way up to 100%. So we can just manually set what we want our fan to be running at. Back out of there, we can go stage 2. Same thing. We can adjust the speed, make sure that the equipment is working properly. Our fixed stages, we can say on or off. And if we go to number 5, same thing, on or off. Go back, the alarm. We can test our alarm if we want to manually turn it on, make sure that whatever we've got connected to that is actually going to activate when we have an alarm. And that is the stage override menu. So if I go back, then I can go up to number 35, which is our temperature override. So this is also another nice way of making sure that your barn or your operation of the control is going to be what you want it to be. So if I select, if I go into here, then I can just use the arrows to adjust what the what the temperature is for the control. I didn't explain that very well. I can adjust manually what temperature the control thinks it currently is. So this would be used once you have programmed all of your settings, and then you can go in, you can set the temperature to something and say, how would my barn operate if this is the temperature? And then you can see as the temperature rises, how is my barn going to react? As it rises more, how is my barn going to react? And then of course you can also say, okay, as the temperature decreases, how is my barn going to react? And we could even see here, if I put it back up, there we go. Stage number 2 came on. If I go over 89, I believe, stage number 3 came on. So we can see with the set points that we have, as we raise the temperature, our cooling is kicking on. So that is a very helpful test menu to make sure that your barn is going to operate as you want it to. Then one final thing to actually talk about, if I pop over, press P once more, we can see vent. And this is the ventilation on or off setting. So this is important. If I go in here, we can see on. So right now, all my ventilation, we could see it coming on. It is turned on. We can turn it off, in which case now my ventilation is off. Anything that I have set as a heater is still going to run, but my ventilation is not. So this is great if you've got an empty building for a while and you just want to, do a minimal amount of heating just to make sure water pipes don't freeze, but you don't really need to bring in any fresh air because there's no animals. Then you can turn your ventilation off and just have your heaters running. And then just make sure that you go in and you turn on your ventilation once your livestock arrives. The only other thing to double check or let you know about is this quick display. If you press the up arrow, you can see high 89.3 or H 89.3. That tells us our maximum temp for today. And if you go down, low 85.0. So that tells us our minimum temperature of the day. So if you want that quick snapshot of what your highest and lowest temperatures have been of this day, you can use that. I hope this was helpful, and that'll do it for this video. So I will see you guys in the next one.